Welcome to the Add Types to Enquirer series. This is part 10. And well, let's just jump straight into it. So now, here is where we left off last time in part 9. And in part 9, we figured out there were some discrepancies between how the prompt is being used, and depends on that which options are actually effective. So so that really posed a question to me. What should we do, right? Of course, we can keep on doing this and just figure out all the tiny weeny details between different way of calling it and type it accordingly. So then the end result is you get a types that reflect perfectly to the JavaScript code, and people using it will be happy. However, since this inconsistency is really not desired, and it probably should be fixed by the JavaScript code, so the effort to put in to figure out all these differences and type accordingly may not just worth the effort, because when the bug is fixed, then it's get outdated. So that's why I think I'm going to change the strategy a little bit, so that we just focus on kind of the minimum, and then just finish up this typing efforts. When the library have the refactor effort for the library has been complete, then we can come back to it and fix the issue. Or maybe if the team is open to convert the whole project to TypeScript, that would be even better, because by that time the type is completely aligned with the code itself. Right. So we don't have to do all this maintenance and updating and adjusting the types whenever the code change. So because of that, so let's go back here and take a look at the, actually let's take a look at the rendered version of the README. So if we scroll down in the README, go down here a little bit here. So this describe the basics, right? When you're using the prompt function. Although this saying using the capital P, it's not really. I'm really not sure at this point that it's applied to the actual one, or it's just applied to the function, because we, as I mentioned, we see the inconsistency. So what we're going to do is just minimize it. Just first type the code according to this. Oh, I get rerouted. So okay, back here, and then we will see what else can we get out of it. So because of that, let's get rid of the header and footer. So these are required. We need to check if these are still working. And then the hint, timer, even the show are extra, and also this symbol, meaning all of them. So let's put this, get this in first. Skip Boolean or a function to Boolean, or a function to promise Boolean. All right, like that. Okay. So let's see if we can do it in free pane. So let's go back here. So now let's take care of this. We get the minimum one, the type the required type name and message. So that's fine. So now let's look at skip. It will skip a prompt. Right. So if this is skipped, then this should be empty. Okay, let's see what, maybe because I haven't saved it when I run the test. Nope. Okay. The answers has any type. There's some issue over here. So this really get that show to false. So even though the documentation doesn't have it, we are using it. So let's still put that back in. And for simplicity, as long as we're able to get the test run and pass, we're not going to add any other extra things. All right. So the test goes through, and then here it shows it's an empty string. So it seems like, well, the prompt is skipped. Is prompts actually skipped? Let's see. Let's just take a quick look at it. Yep. Oh no, it doesn't. It's actually trying to call the prompt. Will not ask that prompt. Let's see. It's a big class. They have the name. On prompt is an input prompt. Name is color. If type is input. So it's actually being called. It's actually being called, and but in this case, because I really want to make sure, you know, although it does nothing to the, it have no effect to the the typing effort, but just want to figure out. Right, so get that in. Wait. Okay. So if I call this, right? Oh. So just let's see. Well, as expected, this has to be wrapped around. Oh no. Yeah, it does skip. So if I do this, it asks for it. But the test side, according to the prompt, this on prompt is actually being called. So it's for test. That function, I guess, is really for testing. So maybe we still want that to be called, or maybe it still is that is a bug. But at least we can see from actually running the code that the skip function is actually working. Okay, so let me actually just for fun. Right, so this will ask for it. I don't really need to do the wrap around the async function. Right, so the skip function is actually working. Let me keep that file over there. So in case we have any other issue like this, then the issue is there's no way we can really test this except looking at the answer. So let's see if this will time out or not, because nope, it doesn't time out. So yes, so in fact it does really does not wait for this submit because it's not prompting. So this function in this test is completely not necessary. And over here, we can say color equals to an empty string, right? So because it is skipped, we are not asking for it. So that should be a legit test. That should be sufficient. Okay. So let's also so you can see that I probably repeating some of the tests over here. But again, since for other tests, they are using the new enquirer or using the input prompt itself, the behavior is different. So I'm just going to repeat the test over here, and the purpose again is not really just testing the behavior of the code, but making sure the things that we're adding in to the types is legit. Right? Brew. Right? And actually, let's say just also skip to true, because supposedly, well, based on logic, this will still get brew. Right, so I initial boolean. Let's put the semicolon in there. Oh, no, this doesn't necessarily be boolean. Or the initial is actually a string. Right. Expect to test to pass. Oh, what? Orange? This orange? Yeah, okay. So because this is a singleton or just the function itself, doing this on action affect all of the test. It affect all of the test, and that's not a good thing. right? Definitely not a good thing. So if let me show you this, right? Let me show you this. So it's a slight detour, but you know, hey, do I have any answers? Yeah. So this is the CLI builder that I have, and in my test, well, first of all, each of them is a different instance. I can create a CLI test and then it return a new instance. So from that, it already doesn't have that problem. And then also I can specify specifically for that particular UI what's the expected answer to be. So when someone, when the test run the prompt, it will go to only that instance to find the answer and return it to the test and keep the test running, right? So that, in my opinion, is a better way to do this. And I can understand over here why, this is probably why that most of the test doesn't really test the prompt function itself, although it is the likely the most common way to use enquirer, because this is not sufficient, right? So let's see what can we do, or put it this way, not saying what can we do. We're probably not going to do anything about it because don't want to change the actual behavior, right? And then, but we can go through a mental exercise on how to solve this, right? So one is that we can keep track of this prompt, and then whenever a test has executed, and then you specify the value and do the submit, the prompt will be clear out. So say this is a separate instance of the prompt, and then internally use that new instance to feed back to the actual instance, and then once that's done, this is gone, so you're not affecting other classes or other tests, right? So that's one way to do it. Because is there any other way? I think that's probably the best way, and that's probably what I will do if I work on the project. Because this is just a function, and so there's no way for you to instantiate the new one, and yeah, and so doing this is a easy way to add the test in, although it's not, as you can see, not reliable. Another way is kind of like what I have over here. Create a helper function that will do that kind of wrapping I just talked about. So instead of doing this prompt, it will be, say, prompt equals to create prompt test, and then put in the initial options, the question in there, and then put the answer that I'm looking for. So say this is a name color. So then I will put in the color, and then the default value, the prompt, I would return orange, right? So then internally it do all those mapping and inject it in and all that kind of thing, and then return the a wrapped function of prompt, so that we can continue to the test and keep them separate. The quote unquote the drawback of this is, yeah, you're essentially not really testing the prompt function itself. You're testing a wrapped function of that. But I would say it is a reasonable trade-off, because all the actual code will still be touched, all the coverage you will still get, and so it should be okay. So anyway, now back to this. What can we do, right? So the answer for this is, well, for this test, I'm not going to wait for the result. Right, I'm just going to define it. It's really a typed test. So it's really making sure that this compile, this doesn't show up with any errors. Right, so even though this return a promise and then the promise just hang there, is okay until the test, unless the test was saying no, not happy with it. Oh yeah, damn it! It asked for that question unless I put the skip in there. Okay, that's another way to do it. It's kind of a little bit fake. Type function, type test function equals to this, right? So this function will not be executed, and then still I get all the benefit of the types to typing it out to verify it. So if I'm missing this, I will get the error right there. Right, so this will go through. And then I will even make that as a function, test type, and then pass in, what should I pass in? Yeah, just some function. In that case, I don't care. I don't even care about the internal. So this is just test type, wrap around, right? I cannot execute it. I cannot put this in there, because if I do this, let's see with it. I think it will ask for it because it's actually get executed, right? So you can see that, it's stuck there. It's asking for that input, right? So I have to wrap around this in the function. It's kind of like the throw, assert.throw. This throws function, if your function is return a promise, you need to, or if throw an exception, you have to wrap it around a function, right? Because if not, you call a function that throw, right? Function that throw. If you call it there like that, then this function is being executed outside of context of this this assertion. So your test will fail, right? So you have to wrap it around a function. So this would work. And with that, I will even, because well, test type, yeah, I would definitely put that into the support folder, test type.ts, and this just do nothing, right? And let me even put that over there and make sure that it is a function. I can also do like this, return any, right? that would also work. And then over here, this does the support. Should I put it over here? I feel like not, because this actually, this functions is to it get the export. No. Anyway, I'm not going to do that, but I'll do what I normally does. Re-export it. Test type, so that I can import that in like this. Okay, so now we can still test the type without actually executing and hang the input the test. So that's good. So what's next? Well, we have the skip, and actually the skip takes a function and an async function, right? So skip with function, and of course I need to return true. And then well, I would expect it to work. So while it's running, I continue with the sync function. Promise solve true, right? And I will actually add one more, because sometimes the test, the code could have a bug that if you just test it, run the test like this. So what I want to do is do a set immediately is good enough. Let's see if this will work. So it makes sure that it go to the next tick before it coming in. So it will make sure that it works fine. Nope, it does not. I don't think it's because of that. It's because of the way I called it. Right. So if I run again, oh, forgot to set it to true though. Of course. I just resolved it. All right, so that's good. So I would add the test like this. Okay. So then for the initial, we will like to do the same thing. Initial with function. All right, so those just keep them as is, and this return blue. And then now over here, this return a string. And actually, I don't really need to do that. I can do this string and promise string. Uh-oh, I'm getting some problem. Why I'm getting empty? Because it is skipped. very likely because it is skipped. I would expect to fail. Yep. Because it is skipped. So since it is skipped, for some reason, the initial value, if this function is not being executed, while over here it does, right? Just to make sure, right? Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Right? So you can see that two failing still. So this again is a bug. It's definitely a bug. Let's see. Does it have to do? Nope. So I can only say it is skipped. And then make it nice. Get this back to brew. And I have to run this over here. Initial. The good thing is the type is there. Set that to brew. So here you can see that it got the default brew. All right. And so again, promise resolve brew. That works. New, actually, let me repeat this. New promise A and set immediate A resolve brew. Just coming thing out, right? So from actually executing, we can see that it works. So now, one interesting thing is here. Is this behavior correct? Or is this behavior correct when it is skipped? The answer is I don't know. It's a question to the enquirer team themselves. When the question is skipped, should it honor the initial value? Right. So I don't know which one is correct, and actually depends on that answer. Well, no, actually, no matter what the answer is, we already proved that the initial call with functions that return a string or a promise that resolve to a string is working in the actual code. The question is when it's skipped, what's the right behavior, right? So what I'm going to do here is continue to add this and keep it skipped. Okay. And well, that's what that is. So now the next one. Well, before the next one, let me also improve this a little bit. It's a promise boolean, so that I don't need the extra overload. Let's get the code. And over here, let me scroll back to here. So we have that. So now the format function. All right, so the format function, I assume it's a value, takes in the value and then return a string. But let's just take a look. We actually also have these things. So have this. So now, before we get into that, we get back to the generic part. So one of the things that I want to test, and I can't really, well, I can test it over here. And then also let me get a copy of that. And then let's just print it out first. No, and then comment this out. So you can see that it always returns a string. Right, so the input is always a string. How about I do this? Does it force me? One interesting thing is this doesn't come plain. Oh, because it's in JavaScript. Right, so even I put in a number, it will convert to a string. So recall a few episodes back, we take a look at that, and it's actually the actual code actually do a cast string like that to convert it to a string. But so that's why it accepts just numbers. Right, so for example, also if I do a false, right, it's a string false. Right, so because of that, then it means that this format is really always a this is a string, right? Of course, we don't really want to be, keep it this way for all of them. But right now, as we are going a specific one, so let's do this specific one, and then we expand. So the question is now this P, right? The P originally over here, back. This P is prompt. Right? This is a prompt. Right, so and then that prompt is the prompt class. Okay. So very likely over here we still want that prompt, and then the prompt, the type is a string. Right. So for now, for this step, let's just rewind the generics, because for this type, from the test we know that it can only be string. So putting the generics in there doesn't make too much of a sense for now. So let's eat format function. Right. The question, I'm afraid that because of the skip, oh, I can try the, oh, let's see. Show equal to false. No, that wouldn't work. Damn it, that wouldn't work. I can't skip this skip and use show, because then that means I have to use the prompt.on, which will affect all other code. Let me really think about that. Let's continue this test, see if that work. If not, then we really need to think about something. So the format function. The format function, it takes the prompt and then have a string value. And then let's say return b plus value. Okay. And I would assume in this case, we know a little bit better that it probably should be a string. We can test it over here. Right, and then to skip, since we know the initial blue string would work, hopefully this will work. So what do we got here? Nope, it get blue. The format is not being executed. My guess is likely because of the skip. If I do the same thing over here, you can see, well, hold on a second. Why this show v blue and then the result is blue? Or maybe this format is just formatting the message, not formatting the functional format user input in the terminal. Format the final submit value. Oh, okay. So this is only changing the display and not changing the value. And since what I described over here is format user input, what will we assume now that this return a string make complete sense? And since this is an input function, this value is a string and is a prompt of string, so that's fine. And this is always a string regardless of what kind of question that's coming in. So that's okay. That's good. So now we get over here. So this is fine. This is blue, right? And what we really cares about is the types. That the input is a string and then the output is a string is fine, right? Normally, if it's in my own library, what I would do is I use the type plus and then assert the type over here. I in the type plus there is a assert type, and then you can specify string and like that to make sure the value is of type string. But I don't have it here, and just by looking at n like this is okay. So let's see. Actually, let's see if I can mimic it. This would not work. Yeah, I cannot mimic it. So it really get my hand kind of tied up. Let's see. Well, since I change my mind. Since the team is likely not going to take the TypeScript version of the test. And then I separate this really just for testing the types, although it is not really just testing for types. I feel like I want to just add my library in here so that I can use it. It's a little bit more effort to get it away when it convert back to JavaScript, But well, what the hell? Let's just do it, because I really not feel comfortable just leave it like this, because if they type later on anything goes wrong, I won't able to detect the error because this is just all inferred. And you know, I can kind of do the input validation like this. Should I? Like this. The issue is, well, this does show that it is incorrect. But the issue, no, the issue is if I do it any, this will still fail. Or this will still pass. This will still pass. So let me go ahead and do that. It is npm install typescript. But I actually need to see if this will work. This, because it's any, I still won't able to detect it. It's the same. It's the same. I won't able to get it to and check that it is any. It is not any. Right, and then it's the same thing for this one. And I don't think there is a way to make sure that it is not any. So for now, let me just do this, although it is, me, is a little bit weird, because when you look at this, it's very weird to look at. It's because over here you just declare the string and then use this to assert. Well, no, this, let me still keep it in, because this reads much better. This reads much better to show that, hey, this is, I'm asserting this value is supposed to be a string, although you know the any still pass the test, right? And then the boolean, you can see that this fail, but at least you know it is a lot more readable, in my opinion. Okay, so this will work. And then like this will also work in the test. Let's just do that. And then this is return a string or promise string. Now that's good. Okay, and then the same would be for the result. And the result is hopefully easier to test. Result. This is just adding for the result. And the rest, oh, I haven't tested the prompt type. So now this return, just add something. Hopefully this will go through because it's processing the result, although it is skipped. Yes, okay, good. Good, so we are good here. It's a function and then validate. And also let's so, and then this validate would return a boolean. Right? It doesn't make sense if it doesn't. And although that is one debate point that worth doing a discussion. So let's take a first let's take a look. May return a boolean or a string. If a string is returned, it be used as the validation error message. Right. So this means this can be a boolean, string, or boolean or string. Okay. So the validate function with string is working. I want to say predicate, but it's really not a predicate. Specify with boolean function, so return true. With async boolean function promise return true. So that's proof that this is working. So one more test to make sure that this is a prompt. And this is for the format. Let's just get this. I like to have them all separated for because I can properly describe them. Receives prompt as this. The format function will be called. That's what I like to do whenever I'm in doubt. Nope, it is not being called. Well, we have 5 more minutes. Let's go through push it to the end, finish this field test. Then we call the end for this session. So since this is not being called, let's see if assert type would work for this case. And I want to make sure that it says even it's a string. Well, I'm just referencing the type so that this doing it like this should be So you can see that if I specify it's a boolean, it doesn't work. It's a string. Okay, so now this proves that it is a promise as this. I'm not really right now. I'm not really testing the actual code because at least in this format, because you know when I'm doing the skip, it's not being executed. Right, but the result will get executed. So this, I can assert this instance of prompt. And in this case, unfortunately, I have to do this. That's it. Come on, come on, come on, go faster. Go faster. Up, up, up. Brewer. A. Oh, the validate. Yeah. Yeah. You are right. You are right. Not me. You are correct. So 2, 3 failing. What is the last one that's failing? We will see. Validate is also get that. So get executed. Let's see what do we get here. Specify validate function. Oh. This one? Timeout. I skipped. Input prompt validate promise this, but the async one, hold on a second. This one fail. This one pass. Are you sure? Are you sure? Oh, uh-oh. 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 Bully. Oh, it's an error message. Oh, hold on a second. No. It fell, meaning this should throw. If this should throw, this will get to the Mocha, and Mocha should fail the test, right? Because it's per description, this is saying if it's return a string, this will be treated as fail validate. Oh no, the validate. If it failed the validation, it go back to the prompt. So then this is definitely another bug. This is definitely another bug. So let's see if what if I return a empty string. Will you pass if it is an empty string? You do a type of check or you do a Boolean check. Nope, you did it. Type of check. So okay, so that's another bug over here. That even if skip is true, when you set this, it's actually got stuck, and then now it tried to ask you the question. Okay, so I have to mark this as skipped. And then also, well, since I marked it as skip, it's okay. Because I was tempted to do this test type thing. But since this is a failed test and probably you want to, let the team aware. So I will keep it as skip and do this so they can, take a look at it, or I can refer to it. Okay. So this one is okay. And then this one, let's return true. Right. So that this test the case. Okay. So get this to pass. Come on. All right. We've there. So now we look at these functions and able to handle, validate it. And in fact, this also, although here this is just a function. Well, here is async function, right? It's support async function. So we have typed all this and proof that they are well, working to some degree. And we are basically done with the very basic input question type. Right, so the next step is work on the next one, and then we start to refactor. The other one, once this is done, we will see how to merge them together, because they have over there are some different requirement, and then also the question itself also have some different requirement, because the enquirer support a plugin system allow you to register your own type. Right, so when that happens, this type cannot read. It can only be string, or even the original, the other one that is a function that resolve to a string. So we need to take care of that. That's probably something called a generic function or a custom function. But one step at a time. So let's recap. What have we learned, or what have we done over here? So we based on the README and add some of the base type in, and you can see that as we are adding the test, we figure out couple different edge cases, and then we also talk about the testing mechanism can be improved a little bit. Maybe I would do that in the next video, so that it would be easier to handle. But we'll see. We'll see. So anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and hope you learned something. And we will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. See ya. Bye bye.